Hi, Doug McLennan here at the Ojai Music Festival Friday evening, and we've just seen the third of four concerts that we're doing this evening. With the first one and the third one with the Mark Morris Dance Group. And I'm sitting here with Sasha Anawalt, dance critic and arts journalist, head of arts journalism programs at USC, and my friend and colleague. Welcome, Sasha.
Thank you, Doug.
So we've been watching tonight music which actually wasn't intended to be danced to.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark actually always says that he starts with the music, that everything about the movement with him starts with the music. He seems like a very intensely musical kind of choreographer.
Yeah.
But not all choreographers are like that.
No, the thing that was really interesting to me tonight is that I felt like, not only tonight, but first of all, let me just say, this entire festival, to have dance, to be able to see Mark Morris's company perform, to be able to see all these pieces is really extraordinary. Maybe not so much in the New York, but for us here it is. And to be able to see how he works with Henry Cowell was really, really revelatory to me. Because it's Lou Harrison. We spent the day talking about Lou Harrison, and we were thinking about Schoenberg and Stravinsky. I've been thinking about Schoenberg and Stravinsky a lot. Because Stravinsky really informed Balanchine. And Balanchine informed the idea of shape to sound, and that sound has a shape. And if I took my hand and I went like this, and I took it off and I looked at the stage tonight, I would have said, this is an American choreographer instantly. There's a shape to this sound that is American. It's not Balanchine, it's not Western, it's American. It's also informed by some sort of Eastern thing that is coming through in the Cowell even, but also Lou Harrison. And I was thinking about these arguments in dance that we've had between ballet and modern. Those are our arguments in dance. The foot was not shorn with a shoe. When you took the shoe off, a revolution happened, and those two people never got together. You are talking about in music, you're talking about the revolution and the sort of animosity even between Eastern and Western forms. When you look at Mark Morris's dance, it's really interesting how and why is it American. And he's not Martha Graham. He's not psychological. He is spiritual. There's a big spirit to him that I think you hear in kind of American dance. And it has to do with the torso, and it has to do with the arms and with the legs. He's very, his shapes are in the arms and in the legs. And I owe a little bit of this to Fred Strickler, who's a choreographer who's here today. We were talking about it during the intermission. And I spent the second part, the concert number 2, looking at the torso and why is there, Martha Graham was all about the contraction and all about kind of the engagement of the sexual parts of the human being. Mark Morris is doing something else, and it's very, very complementary to or informed by or resonant with this music.
I think it's no accident that composers like Lou Harrison, Henry Cowell, very sort of physical. Their music is there's a physicality to it. And I'm wondering if it's fair to talk about choreographers in that way. I mean, obviously, all dance is physical in a way.
It is an interesting
but there's
thing.
something about the way that Mark has it. It's almost a Peter Sellers kind of thing, too. You recognize that aesthetic in it, too, where it really seems physical. There's a physicality to it.
I agree completely. And yet it's so funny because you think of American dance as physical. I just do. I mean, I think America is about. I was thinking about Bela Lewitsky. I was thinking about Lester Horton. I was thinking about Navajo Indians. in this last piece in Grand Duo, they're the men. They're bare-chested. They've, and they're these sort of Navajo Indian feelings to this. Also very Greek.
Right.
So there are these kind of funny sort of echoes to the torso. I kept thinking about the torso, and they are physical. It's physical.
Right. So where does Mark fit in contemporary dance? I mean,
I think he's huge.
Yeah.
And to me, like, I really think this whole festival is about hugeness of. I want to think about Schoenberg and Stravinsky.
Okay.
And I want to, because I know nothing really about Schoenberg. I know a lot about Stravinsky. But this festival is making me think about Schoenberg. It's making me think about Cowell. It's making me think a lot about Lou Harrison. It's making me think a lot about Mark Morris.
Right.
As somebody who's completely, he comes out of a folk dance form.
Right.
And so folk dance and Laura Dean a little bit, but he's really his own human being out of Seattle. And, there's something very, 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 very American about being your own human being.
Well, I was very struck last night at the end of the concerts last night. We all moved over to the arts center where we had social dancing, and Mark was teaching people to polka. I saw you out there, teaching people to be kind of silly with their bodies, right? In a way. People look silly with their bodies.
Oh, thanks.
Not mentioning names.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, I was kind of struck with, he's very playful with a crowd, and he loves to work the crowd. And I actually came away thinking, after listening to him talk about music and talk about dance, and then interact with the audience, that actually at heart, really what he is an entertainer in the very best sense of the word. He's an entertainer whose medium is movement, whose medium is music.
But okay, I think you were entertained because you were watching. I think if you had been on the floor, that's not what you would have come away with. Because I think the thing is about Mark Morris, and I think this is very, very, very close to Lou Harrison, is I think he is about being a human being. And what he's saying is that actually, had you been on the floor, and had you and I been patty caking, and no, I'm really actually serious about this. I think that you would have felt less entertained and more engaged as a human being. And I think that what he was really saying, and he said, look at each other authentically.
Right.
And he meant when you change partners, look at each other, and every time you slap
actually
hands,
have the experience.
Have the experience of being a human being. I don't think that's about entertaining. I think that's about dancing. And that's about that folk. So much on stage had to do with circles. I was thinking about this. I was thinking, American dance, what is American about American dance? And I was thinking, it's geometry. It's the idea that shape has sound. Shape has sound. Now, the other thing that's really interesting about shape is that it also has time. And these are things, I don't think we're that sophisticated about talking about dance in the ways that you in music are sophisticated about talking
about music.
And so I think what Mark is doing here with this festival is actually when he's Lou Harrison says that song and dance are together. And he also says life is inseparable from art. This is kind of a huge concept actually, but it goes back to our root, which is what Mark Morris does. He takes us back to our roots. So when we're in the circle last night and we're doing a polka or we're doing a waltz, he's saying, you know what? Your life is not inseparable from your art.
Right.
And you're in a circle, you're in a geometrical shape, because I really actually think that these ideas are not explored fully. And so I don't think you could have gotten. Maybe Agnes Mill could have talked about it, but I don't think Martha Graham could have talked about it in that way.
Oh, interesting.
I think Mark is sort of. I think for him to do this festival is to sort of break out and say, let's get a conversation going here. And it's way beyond what you and I are going to do in this little short moment of time. But I think we need to talk about it because I don't think music and dance has really ever talked together from a folk point of view.
Right. Well, and we're about to hear in this last concert of the evening, John Cage.
We have another concert?
We have another concert, the fourth
Okay.
of these. And we're doing Four Walls, which is John Cage. And I don't think it's any accident that Cage is a part of this kind of conception that Mark has put together with this music. Fits so perfectly with Harrison and with Cowell and with Ives and whatever. And a lot of John Cage was about reimagining the relationships between sound and music and your space and what you hear and what you think of as music and what music ought to be and how you're going to define it, which I think is not unlike what you're talking about in terms of that conversation happening in dance. So in a way, it's a very logical procession next to go to Cage.
Well, you know, I think the thing with Cage is that it's not what music ought to be, which is what you said. I think he sort of said, don't have any ought in it.
Right.
And I think now, you know, enough time has gone by that perhaps with Mark Morris, we are able to start talking now, tonight, like even with Cage, we can talk again about sort of, well, what is music and dance?
Right.
It's kind of a cool thing.
It's
So
a
in
very
that
cool
way, yeah, Cage.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sasha, very much.
Hey.
And we're a few minutes away from starting the last of 4 concerts this evening. As you know, this year we're breaking down the idea of what a concert is. Concert can be half hour, it can be 2 hours, it can be whatever it is, but to associate it with a place and an occasion and be very specific about the experience that you're going to have with concerts. So 4 concerts sounds like a lot, but it actually fits together kind of interesting, like a jigsaw.
Can I say one more thing?
Please.
Oh my God! You know what was so beautiful tonight? Starting in the sunset, so the light hitting the dancers and the way the light struck their bodies and their feet were really, really, really beautiful. I mean, I think the cup of the foot was just gorgeous. And then you end in the evening as the day goes by, and this last piece with Grand Duo, their hands. It was their hands in the
reaching up for the light,
in the manufactured light.
Right.
These, you know, the human being and the body is really a splendid thing, and I think it was great to watch sort of the sun set and change the way you look, the way you feel, the way you hear, the way you see.
All part of the experience.
It was really great.
Right. Okay.
Thanks.
So stay with us, and in 10 minutes or so, we'll be back with the last of the concerts for this evening.